Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the College Cinephile. I'm your host, Sebastian Reyes. I'm joined here by two very special guests. On my far left over here is Michael Harper, and right next to me is Robert Saucedo. So, guys, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
Doing
Thank
good?
you for having us.
All right, so Robert, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Tell us a little bit about what your job at the Alamo Drafthouse is, kind of how you got started and everything, kind of along those lines.
Sure. So I'm the programming director for the Houston, Lubbock, and El Paso markets, which means that I help guide the programming team, which includes Michael Harper for here in Lubbock, on everything that goes on screen. That's special events, first-run films, all the way down to our trailers and pre-show material. It's basically kind of leading the philosophy and the charge on making what makes the Alamo Drafthouse the Alamo Drafthouse.
Awesome. So what exactly do you decide and what goes down to Michael? Is there any middleman that cuts anything out, or are you just kind of whatever you say goes to Michael, and that's
Sure.
kind of what sets the tone and the bar, so to speak?
Well, we have a lot of conversations on a daily basis. I primarily guide the first run films. So as far as like the new releases that we have in the building, I'll lead that charge. But when it comes down to special programming, special events, repertory films, Michael leads that charge with the assistance from myself. We both watch a lot of movies, and we kind of come at the approach with different angles. And so if Michael sees a movie that he really enjoys, he'll program it. If I see a movie that I really enjoy, I'll suggest it to Michael, and we'll work to find a way that we can include, films that meet both of our tastes in the Alamo programming. But beyond that, we love listening to guest recommendations, feedback. We love hearing what people want to see on the screen, and we act as a conduit and a curator to make sure that happens and to provide the best content possible on our screens.
Awesome. And the Alamo Drafthouse is really such a special, unique place. I'm not saying that just because you guys are here. It's been a huge part of my own personal life because I live in Austin. So I used to go to, I don't know if it's the original one, but one of those downtown that unfortunately is now closed. That's where I kind of got my first start on a lot of foreign films, probably with the exception of old Godzilla movies I used to watch on TV. My first kind of mainstream one was The Host, the South Korean film. Amazing movie. But I owe a lot of part in that to the Alamo and everything. It was kind of a real bonding experience between me and my mother. Kind of go to just downtown, go watch a good movie, get some good food. So what really makes the Alamo such a great, that gives other people such a great bonding experience, and then so they can have that connection to film and cinema?
Sure. So I'm actually going to use what you just said as an example. So we have a movie coming out called Colossal that we're really excited for.
With Anne Hathaway?
Anne Hathaway, where she finds that she can control a giant monster rampaging through South Korea. And so a lot of theaters would just show the movie and call it a day. But we are such in love with this movie, we're so behind it, that we're planning a full wealth of side promotion and programming to complement the film. And so we're actually doing an event that's now on sale called Destroy All Drafthouses, which is a 4-movie mystery marathon featuring 4 different kaiju films from around the world. And so you're going to get this experience of being able to see 4 different kaiju films before you go see Colossal to get like a little bit more of a background, a little bit more of an understanding of the genre. So that way, by the time you see Colossal, you have a little bit of resources to pull from as far as like the film language that the movie is speaking in. And so that's kind of what we're really behind, is we are a movie theater for movie lovers, and we program with that in mind. We want to make sure that we can bring content to our screens that's going to complement the pop cultural touchstones that everybody's talking about. So when you see a movie like Logan, we want to show movies that, in addition to Logan, that surround the film, that coexist with the movie, that provide a contextual experience to what you're about to watch.
Excellent. That sounds a lot of fun. And for those of you who do not know, kaiju films are your Godzilla, your Rodan, Gigan, that kind of thing, King Ghidorah. But I kind of know those already. But and Michael, I kind of want to switch gears to you real quick.
Yeah.
What is probably the hardest part of your personal job, being the content creator at the Lubbock Alamo Drafthouse?
That's a tough question. The hardest part of my job. The hardest part of my job would probably be getting a chance to watch every single movie that's out there. Like we get, Robert can attest to this, a ton of screeners in our email inboxes, and so it's kind of an embarrassment of riches, or a kind of a weird thing to be complaining about. Oh, there's too many movies to see. But that's probably the hardest job, is getting to see all the ones and making sure you're not missing those small gems that are out there that you'd like to bring to your theater.
I mean, definitely a large experience at the Alamo is that you do get those kind of like quality indie films and things along those lines. Like I said, the aesthetic of the Alamo Drafthouse is always something that I always love. Every single one kind of has a different feel to it, whether it be kind of classic, kind of like hammer horror movies like Christopher Lee posters going on, or there's one in Austin that has just like the end plant attack from Little Shop of Horrors, which is awesome. What separates you, and kind of what is your kind of quote unquote claim to fame at the Alamo in Lubbock?
Well, I think we bring a lot of programming that kind of that reaches out and engages the community. One of the things that I'm really proud of that we've developed with our community partners is furthering our continuing education screenings, which, if you don't know what our continuing education screenings are, they're $3 screenings that we do in conjunction with professors that are teaching classes on campus. And so we've expanded that into working with the law school, which has been proven really successful for us. They actually just sold out a screening of a movie called The Castle, which is apparently huge in Australia, but I've never heard of. But they did an awesome job with it, and it was a great thing. And feeding into that, the lessons we've learned from continuing education and the progress we made there, we're about to roll into a new series of programming called Film Club, which is going to be every Wednesday at 7:30. It's going to be a $5 ticket. The focus is going to be on new indie films that you might not get to see other places, that you might not get to see for a full week, that we can't bring in for a full week, but we still think that you need to see. And a few repertory screenings and a few continuations of the continuing education partnership.
Oh, that sounds really awesome, actually, and a really good endeavor indeed. And kind of switching a little bit back to Robert real quick. Alamo is mostly known to differentiate itself from other theater chains because you guys really don't do a whole lot of self-promotion. Instead of doing the first look with Maria Menounos in, say, like an AMC or Tinseltown, whatever, what have you, you guys are mostly known for those really funny shorts, like probably my favorite recent memory is when I went to go see Civil War, and you guys had the Turkish Spider-Man movie going on, which is hilarious. If you have not seen Turkish Spider-Man, watch Turkish Spider-Man. It's hilarious. So who are you? So are you the one that kind of finds that content?
No.
Is it kind of Michael specific, or?
There's actually one gentleman out of Austin who does all that content. That's his sole job. His name is Laird Jimenez, and he has one of the most impressive knowledges of film and pop culture that I've ever seen in a single human being. And that's his job. You know, he wakes up every morning and he sits down in front of a computer and searches out all kinds of amazing clips and online videos and interviews and vignettes, and he cobbles together pre-shows for all the Alamos across the country. It's an impressive endeavor, and the guy's a hero of mine, but it's all Laird.
That is actually really impressive. There really are a lot of fun, and you always get. That's why I always like to go to the Alamo early and not show up late, because those in the previews are kind of like why I really enjoy going to the Alamo specifically. And so then, what is kind of like your day-to-day then in terms of operations, and kind of on top of that was the hardest challenge that you face in your job? Sure.
So because I work with 3 different markets, I'm almost always on the road. I travel between Houston, Lubbock, and El Paso quite often, visiting the theaters, working with our local programmers. In addition, I attend film festivals and conferences and other activities around the country to try to be on the search for whatever new movies and programming that we're going to be able to bring to our theater. But when I'm, at home and when I'm also on the road, my day-to-day involves, searching for booking contracts for films. So as you know, anytime a theater plays a movie, we have to get permission from the people who own the movie.
Of course.
And if it's a big studio like Warner Brothers or Sony, it's really easy to do. But a lot of these smaller titles we want to show, the people who own the rights to the film may be living in a cabin out in the woods in Virginia, and you have to go search them out. It's really fun. It's like being a little detective and being able to kind of search out who owns the rights to this film and convince them why they should let you show their movie on the big screen. In addition to that, it's a lot of figuring out how to promote the films that we have in our theater. We're very proud of the movies that we bring to the Draft House, but we want to make sure they actually find an audience. And so it's constantly working with Michael and our creative team across the country to figure out what we can do to draw more attention to the movies that mean the most to us. Whether that's a fun photo booth or a promotion or bringing in a filmmaker or an actor or something like that to figure out how to make that more special. We just want to make sure that the movies that really, truly mean a lot to us, that we want people to see, people actually see them.
That's also really, really awesome that you go out of your way and do all that, because that's a level of dedication that should well be applauded. And you did kind of touch on something that I always kind of find interesting, kind of the ins and outs of finding permission to use a film. There is obviously kind of a really well-known studio that is kind of a pain. I'm not going to name names just because I don't want to get in trouble. But just kind of going off that, between you and Michael, what exactly is kind of the labor that goes behind creating that content? Because obviously when you go to a theater, you just go for a few hours, eat, be entertained at the Alamo, leave, and they don't really think too much about it until the next movie comes out they want to go see. So kind of give a good explanation of this, kind of all the effort and love that goes behind to give that experience to the viewer.
Sure. Well, it's funny. Like when I tell people what I do, one of the major things I get is, "Oh, you get paid to watch movies all day," and to an extent, we do watch a lot of movies, and the job is a lot of fun, and I'm not going to lie about that. But there is a lot of work that goes into allowing people to watch movies, and like I said, searching out the rights, building the web page, all the IT backend that goes into running a theater is larger than I think anybody might expect. Just making sure the theater runs great is another thing. While we're primarily involved in the programming, presentation is important to us and is one of our major responsibilities. And so working with our projection team and with our operations team to make sure that the guest experience is utmost, and that means working with our team members to make sure that they're trained on how to enforce our no talking, no cell phone policy, making sure that we work with our team of hosts so that anytime you go see a movie, you get not only a great film, but a great introduction and a little bit of insight from a film buff or a local film fan into the movie that they're about to watch. And those are all the things that we do on a day-to-day basis.
Perfect. All right, and if just kind of one of each of you, like Michael, what are your plans for kind of growing the brand in Lubbock? And then Robert, what are kind of your goals for the growing the brand in a national sense, or at least in the El Paso, Houston, and here in Lubbock? It's kind of what are your kind of growing plans? What do you hope for to achieve in the future?
For Lubbock, the immediate thing we want to do, I talked about Film Club, is making sure that Film Club is as successful as humanly possible, and that it provides a great place for film lovers to come together to see new films that they might not get to see elsewhere and to have conversations about them. This film club actually comes from a model that they do in Winchester, Virginia, which is a very small rural town in Virginia that has a draft house, and it's amazingly successful there. Me and Robert are both members of their Facebook group, just to kind of get an idea of what they're doing, and just the sense of community on that Facebook group is amazing. People are calling each other out. They're like, happy birthday to so-and-so, or they have a screening. They're like, we missed this person yesterday. You hadn't come out. What's going on? I want to build that sense of community in Lubbock around the film club, and just get a bunch of really cool people together and watch some awesome films. And so that's the immediate one, is building a film club that we can be proud of and that the community can be proud of.
Perfect. Robert, how about yourself?
Well, this is the 20th anniversary of the Alamo Drafthouse.
Wow.
As a company, we've been around since 1997, and going back through the history of the Alamo, what I want to do is make sure we go back to our Gonzo roots. So Tim League, the founder of the Alamo Drafthouse, was the person who caught my attention, and the guy who, when I saw who he was and what he did, I knew this is a company I wanted to be a part of. And he was known for his outrageous stunts, and still is known. He's still a big part of this. Everything from having snakes in the theater for Snakes on a Plane to making people walk through a room full of millions of flies before they could go see the Amityville Horror. So things like that surprise, that shock, that outrageousness, that's really what I want to make sure that we're bringing to all of our theaters this year and beyond to celebrate 20 years of the Alamo Drafthouse and to look forward to 20 more years.
Perfect. I'm sure we all are. Just for a quick wrap up, is there anything that you two want to plug? Any place people can reach you? Have any questions? Anything along those lines?
Well, you can. Excuse me. You can always reach me at. I'll just give out my email address. My email address is on everything. It's mharper@ttv-alamo.com. And so you can always catch me there with any programming suggestions, any movies you want to see, anything like that. I'm always available and I'm always checking email. Other than that, when is this going to air?
Hopefully within a week or two. We're going to get the footage back at the end of the day, start working on it immediately, and then we'll put the episodes together. So.
Okay. Well, in that case, also go to drafthouse.com/Lubbock, and you can look at our calendar for a full breakdown of our special events coming up this month and in April.
Yeah, and also make sure you join our new Alamo Film Club Facebook group. It's just search on Facebook for Alamo Film Club Lubbock and join. It's a great place to meet the other Alamo Cinephile fans and to learn about our upcoming programming before anybody else does.
Perfect. All right, well, that's going to do it for this segment on the College Cinephile. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome back to the College Cinephile. We are here with a new segment where we just review a movie. We don't have a name yet because we're terrible with names. So our first film we're going to be reviewing tonight is going to be Colossal, directed by Nacho Vigalondo, he's director of Time Crimes as well as a few other indie horror films. So, Michael, tell us a bit about Colossal. In fact, we should probably preface by saying that if you know nothing about Colossal, you should probably just see the film right now, as this film is much more enjoyable if you know nothing about the film. So, just a quick review, go see it, and then come back and then watch this review. So, Michael, tell us the story about Colossal.
All right, so it's about a girl who's played by Anne Hathaway. She, has that typical life or typical movie life where she's in a slump, nothing's going her way, and then, something good happens to her where she finds out she's a monster, and then she has this man.
A very man.
Yeah, a very man.
There's no way to really describe it any way that's nice in any way.
That she was friends with when she was younger, and they end up having this huge, fight, and it ends up,
It's more of a character conflict than a monster conflict, which is what which I thought was
it's more of a character conflict or character movie. It's not really it's about the monsters, I feel like.
Yeah, because I don't know. For me, that's what made this kind of breaking the genre convention interesting to me. Because usually in a monster movie, it's always man versus monster, man versus nature and all that stuff. But in this situation, it's just two people having this character conflict.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of stuff that I just thought you don't see that nowadays. You got a really strong female character that's not strong in the sense of she's she acts masculine in any way.
Yeah.
She acts she has she's not a stereotypical female, but she does have a mixture of how you would write a minority character, embrace some stereotypes but not all, and just kind of have this kind of dynamic character.
Yeah, she has all the good qualities that you want.
She feels like a real person. She has her flaws, her trying to get over alcoholism, and just trying to get her life back together. But she also has this charm to her, this playfulness, which is she doesn't act like the character from Avatar or Aliens, where she's basically just a guy. But it's not, which is I've always hated that trope. like Mad Max Fury Road does it to some extent, and it's just like it's just like a very strong like character with a mixture, very dynamic in a sense.
Yeah.
And the same thing can be said with the douchebag character played by Jason Sudeikis. Like usually douchebag characters are horrible, but like he's like
He was someone that you kind of felt for in the beginning. I feel like
he reminded me of like Percy from
Percy Jackson.
Percy from Green Mile. Sorry.
Oh.
This character that's just so awful, but like so engaging at the same time. Like this character does it like super well.
Yeah.
There's also, I guess, like my only there is some flaws with it. Like it's not really a perfect movie. I didn't like leave this film thinking like this is like one of the best things ever.
Yeah.
There's like some parts in the middle that's very slow, and then there's also just the fact that there's just some elements that are just like they kind of just drop it from the movie. Like for example, like the romance between like Anne Hathaway
And her boyfriend.
and her boyfriend, and
Yeah.
also the other guy.
Oh yeah.
And they just kind of like drop it, like in the sense.
They did actually. I didn't even
They
notice
introduce a lot of stuff and then never go like
They
finish
didn't
it.
finish it, yeah.
They didn't finish it, which I guess is like more in line with like kind of like a slice of life feel, but at the same time like slice of life films don't really have a conflict per se.
It
like
left loose ends. I feel like.
they usually just kind of go whatever they want, but this
Yeah.
film has more of a plot to it, so it's kind of like a weird mixture of slice of life that doesn't really need to be in there, and that's really it. I mean, like it has a really fascinating character, like just genre dynamics that kind of change things up, makes the monster genre fresh.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like I said, if you haven't seen this movie, like if you don't know nothing about this movie, like it will certainly affect the enjoyment of it. Because like I know I knew nothing about this film. All I know it was about monsters and it was Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
And like seeing this thing unfold kind of was a lot more enjoyable in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
thought it was gonna be more about the monsters though. That's what I was kind of looking forward to.
Yeah, but at the same time, also knew it was very, like, I guess, low budget. I
Yeah,
imagine.
that's
So
true.
like, a lot of it's left to the imagination, which I also like the scenes whenever they're at the playground and just like messing with the environment. Like they don't ever cut to like soul at all.
Yeah.
They just like they just add sound effects,
yeah,
which is a
sound
nice
effects,
like
yeah.
low budget trick. It's just to me, it's just like it embraces. You see that low budgetness to that.
Yeah, you could tell it's pretty low budget.
Yeah, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't know what to expect, and what I got was something that was pretty solid
Yeah,
throughout.
me too.
So if you haven't seen Colossal, feel free to see Colossal, and when we come back, more College Cinephile.